I was originally going to do, when originally we were mentioned about doing a talk, so I was going to do a talk about a seminar I saw, which was more focused on adults and more towards business and work-related entrepreneurship. However, the same concept about words and the effects of words and stuff, it actually applies all through. Although there's far more study being done about words and the effects of them on maybe on a business level and management level, but there is enough studies being done on the effects it has on the child and the growth of a child. So obviously it's more appropriate to run it about children and how it affects children. So just before I get into it, just to give you some examples, I mean, a lot of us probably have seen some controversial videos or statements. There's a Japanese author. He ran a study where he took 2 jars of rice and he put them on the side, and one of them he every day kept saying to him, "I love you," or "You're really nice," and the other one he kept saying really hateful words. And he came back to about 6 weeks later to realize one was still fresh and the other one had grown all sorts of mold all over it. So there's several studies like that have taken place, but it shows just, even on a molecular level, there's probably something happening with words and stuff that has an effect on the environment and the people. That was obviously an object. However, obviously with children and with humans, it has a far deeper effect, and it's more ongoing. So one thing I would say is, so even some of the talks that were covered last week, each one of them, words come into it quite a lot. So every aspect of whether we're talking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're talking about, as Amir was talking about, bringing up your children according to Islamic, principles. Each one of them obviously giving the kids a positive feedback, keeping them positive mindset is much more likely to have a better effect and for it to be more longer lasting. So just to kind of go into, I mean, there's a phrase there: the words we speak to our children become voice they carry inside. So just to cover some science behind it. So one of the things, obviously, as parents, we tend to do is all our focus tends to be on what schools our children attend, what activities we put them into, which is, I think, it's clearly visible. All of us put a lot of effort into these areas. However, words is something that's actually far more powerful than put together. All those things do have value, but if not nurtured properly, and if not raised properly, and if not given the right positive feedback to the kids, they kind of can almost become meaningless, and the effect they have, and also the motivation the child would have towards achieving those goals. So. Yep. So let's just going back to some science. So there's multiple studies done on it. As I said, with adults, there's far more studies that have taken place. But just from some scientific perspective, some studies done. In 2011, there's a neuroscientist, Dr. Andrew Newberg. He found that positive words like love, safe, and smart can physically strengthen brain function in children. They build resilience, support logical thinking, and reduce stress. On the other hand, negative words, especially repeated like lazy or naughty, can activate a child's fear center and disrupt emotional development. So, I mean, this is something I'm guilty of myself. Even as a joke, I'll go to my son and just say to him, "Oh, you're naughty. You're a naughty child, aren't you? Oh, you're being naughty today." So it's something, for some of us, it's probably easier to kind of follow through because we may be brought up a certain way, so we just use positive words. For some others, it's either we do it as a joke or it can become difficult to follow through. So words, eventually, they shape a child's identity, and they have that long-term effect. So, as you can see on the screen as well, in one study in 1960s, a Harvard researcher, Robert Rosenthal, told teachers that some of their students had shown exceptional potential based on the test. In reality, the students were chosen at random. By the end of the year, these random labeled gifted students performed significantly better. And the reason for it was because the teachers' expectations and treatment changed. And so did the students' self-belief. So just that little tweak on its own made such a massive difference on the children and the achievement. So, I mean, given all this, in general, obviously, we can take steps on day-to-day basis, and it's hard sometimes as parents. And I can tell from ourselves, my missus as well. You can get overwhelmed with the kids. Sometimes you're busy. Sometimes you end up saying stuff. Then obviously you could come and apologize, maybe, or you try to balance it out. But what are some of the more like practical steps that we can probably maybe walk off from today and take from today and try to implement them in our lives? So we'll touch on that as well. But just before I do that, just to give you some other real-life examples or reflections. So there's an author educator, Rita Pearson, who shared how a student once said, "You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew I was nobody. It wasn't because she gave easy grades, it was because she used her words to affirm his value every day." There's another father that shared a story online. This I found quite interesting. So he started replacing words with "why are you always so difficult" with "you seem upset, so how can I help you?" His 6-year-old daughter began opening up more. The entire relationship changed. He didn't change his daughter, but his words changed his relationship with his daughter. And there's also a mother who, this is only a 4-year-old, by the way, just to keep in mind, who kept saying to her son, "You're kind, you're smart, you're strong." He was only 4 years old. One day, when he was at school, someone called him dumb. He responded, "That's not true. My mom says I'm smart." So words became a shield. So from our perspective, what can we do? What can we take from today? Or how can we implement some of the things going forward? I'll just try to put some very basic 3 steps that we can potentially try to use and implement them. So first of all, name the positive in the child. So rather than just telling a child you've done a good job, being more specific, say, "I'm proud of you because you shared with your sister," or give him the reasoning behind it so he understands the good behavior, but the reason behind the good behavior as well. Also, correcting with care. Instead of just saying you're being bad, just say to him, I know you're having a tough time. Let's go through this." So you want to address the behavior rather than labeling the child, because if you label the child, then the child's going to carry that with him, and he's going to keep putting on himself that he's the cause of the problem, rather than putting the focus on the behavior. And lastly, speaking to their future. So say things like, "You're becoming such a great helper," or "You're growing into a thoughtful person." Children rise to meet the vision you have for them. So that's all in all, basically most of what I want to cover within it. But it's just from a even tarbiyah perspective, words have a big role to play in tarbiyah, and using the right words can have a massive effect on tarbiyah, because tarbiyah is vast in terms of like what it covers and what it requires, but words can be a great asset if used properly in helping to achieve like your child great tarbiyah moving forward. Anyway, is there any questions in regards to it, or there's far more studies that you can, I mean, if you go on your own, it's just endless amount of like studies, researches from a business perspective. All the entrepreneurs, CEOs, they'll be using it day in and out. They're constantly attending like talks, seminars, workshops, how to get the best results through words. And it's simple stuff. It's simple stuff like they'll go to a seminar, they'll go come walk back, and they'll just start maybe messaging their employees, "Oh, you did good today," and then they see a massive change in the entire work environment. So it's very effective at that level. There's obviously a bit less studies done for children, but there is still enough studies to show that it has a very strong effect. Let's say any questions or anything?
Yeah, so with positive reinforcement, why when they're doing something wrong and you tell them and to show that you're upset with them?
Sorry, say that again?
How would you show that you're upset with them?
Yeah, so that's what it's covering there. So,
Meaning like you want to actually show that you're actually angry with the child.
yeah, so the thing is, the child needs to obviously come out the way we do. The child does need to be told, and he does need to be like maybe put to the side, or maybe something taken out, not given to them afterwards. In general, that's just a basic rule, because they need to kind of have some sort of like consequence of whatever they've done. But the important part of what's been covered, or what I'm trying to cover, is that basically in those words, it's very important how we address it, because I can go back myself and yeah, I'll take simple examples. So I can even go back myself. I can tell my mum maybe at times when she was angry, said something, and I know for a fact, even till like a few years ago, yeah, I used to be like, oh, you know, maybe I can't do this, maybe I can't do that because maybe my mum said that. Or there's tons of times where mum said something positive. So I know throughout my own life, for example, I have been in situations, I've done things where a lot of the friends and people around me have kind of given up like even less than halfway way, and most of it was it's just a mindset. It never really cared about the people around me, of what they're thinking or what's achievable. It's just that the belief in yourself, of being able to achieve that push that kept pushing you, and it was all. If I go to the root of it, it was always something, words, either parents have said something which has made you positive, and then as you've gone along, then people pick on it, then people start complimenting you. So all those things then obviously kind of take part throughout your life. Yeah, like a snowball effect, basically. So yeah, is there any other questions or?
I was just going to add to that, because I thought that really 5 slides, but really 6 slides, but really how there is a book out there that many people might know about, by an author called Paul Dix, called Where Parents Change, Children Change. Parents change, everything happens.
I don't see.
The parents change everything, and it talks to the same points we've mentioned about. There's a few chapters in that book about the power of words and how, when as parents we change that narrative and the way that we speak, it comes off in children as well. It also reminds me of an image that I remember seeing years ago. People might have come across it. It's like cartoonized drawing of a father shouting at his child, and the child then shouting at the youngest
Yeah,
sibling.
yes, yeah.
And how it just transcends through that, and it mimics exactly how they're being taught as well. And I'll be honest, for me, it's a constant reminder, because I get that as well, my kids, and just how I speak to them. The irony of telling them not to shout at while I'm shouting, and then seeing them shout
Yeah.
at their younger siblings as well. But
Yeah, we're guilty of it. I mean, we see something in children doing something, and there's loads of times we've told them off, and then I've literally spoke to my missus, pulled her over, and just said, look, they're only doing that because we were doing this. So there's no other reason they're doing it. There's nothing, because where else they're seeing it? Because there's only a small circle of children that we know they go out with and they are with. So it's coming from us, if not from outside.
Yeah, just to add to like what he's saying as well, like we know most of the parents, and especially the dads, we know, we see in the kids.
Yeah.
The dad, like when I say Abdullah,
Yeah.
do something like, this is Walid.
Yeah.
This is like, he'll do it like Walid does accents, and Abdullah will randomly come up and start doing an accent. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it's almost like a deja vu.
Yeah.
And some faces like Sumaya makes, same face as Jawad. I'm like, this is Jawad. I can see it. Because you could just see the resemblance, the parents. I don't see myself in my kids, but I can see all the others.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. I don't know if you guys actually see it in your kids, like, I'll do this, and I can see my kids doing the exact same thing.
I noticed it because you noticed it, you told me about it.
Yeah.
And once when Abdullah rolled his eyes at me, I said, why are you doing it? I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's potentially something even far stronger. So even like we were discussing last time in the group, when someone was cooking food, and I think it was one of Abu Bakr or Umar, and doing dhikr, right? So, I mean, apart from just words on its own, I mean, that's just still words, isn't it? So, like, look at the effect like they potentially have as well. And that's that's studies that has been, it's still being carried out because they believe words can, at molecular level, can have an effect on items and objects and stuff as well. So it probably goes far deeper than we actually know or we're aware of. So yeah.
I have two things I wanted to contribute. One is, at the moment, we detect in ourselves that we're talking about ideals which we're failing, and we should take this really seriously. Allah says in the Quran, "You believe? Why do you say that which you do not do?" Most hateful is with Allah that you say that which you do not do. And that also alludes to the fact that our kids will do as we do, not as we say. And sometimes when we see a behavior, an undesirable behavior in our children, they're just doing what they've learned, what they've seen, what's normalized for them. So we have to be really, really careful, really thoughtful about what we do normalize. Raise voices. In the house, there should never be a reason to raise your voice. You should never be speaking to somebody through a wall. These are basic adab. Think about how you would want people to speak with you and what you want to model for your children, and then live like that. If you don't live like that, then you're going to find that dissonance where they're doing something that you don't like, but we're the ones who are in training.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
This is one thing that we should be really, really considerate of. We have to live the values we love. That it is a matter of what we are doing, not simply what we are instructing them. They will quickly do what they're doing, not simply just what we're saying. This is one thing. The other thing I wanted to say as well was when we look at the Prophet Muhammad Sunnah, especially nowadays, I think there is an overemphasis on some aspects over others. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is very pragmatic and idealistic at the same time. He is Uswatun Hasana, he is like the best example that is idealistic, but we see in him some other examples as well, where he did scold somebody. Like, sometimes we imagine he never shouted at anybody. No, he did. We have a hadith where he shouted at this person, where he really, really took somebody to task for something. But we need to read the nuance there. Firstly, those things did happen, and there's an appropriate time to show your displeasure. Most of the time, the system would show his displeasure very subtly. He would just go quiet, lower his eyes, and he would turn away. Something like this. And that works when the environment allows people to be attentive to that. Now the environment is so overstimulated that if you did that, you're just going to get ignored. Nothing's going to happen. You're not contributing to their tarbiyah. Okay. And this is part of being a shepherd. You need to know what kind of animal you are herding. Goats and sheep are different, and a whole variety of goats will be different to a whole different variety of goats as well. So you have these kinds of differences. And in the stories of the prophets, we see this as well. Musa alayhi salam had a certain character and attitude with his people, what was appropriate for who he was leading. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Yusuf alayhi salam, we see this variation. So we should really, really be careful that, number one, identify the ideal we're working towards. But that means we need to program ourselves first towards that. We also need to program everybody involved, everybody on the ship. And also that we should be pragmatic with it as well. Once you've got a teenager, the way you're speaking with them is not going to be the same as how you speak with a toddler. Yeah. So I express often I have reservations about the Western psychological approach because it doesn't properly take into account the breadth and diversity and typology of a human, what an insan is and how they can be. So we should look into our tradition for that. We should see those different examples in the Islam.
Sure. It's like a lot, isn't it?
Back